strategy. I'm Jim Reid, your host for both. I go by Bluffsterini in the home game and at RecPoker Jim on socials. And I have the best freaking job in the world, talking poker with my friends every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern, live on YouTube. You can join us for free and win a prize just for showing up. Now, we actually have a really fun show tonight. We don't have a guest. The guest is the RECing Crew panel. We're going to be talking about our poker dreams and how we want to reach them and all the things that can go wrong and all the things that can go right. So we're going to get into that conversation in just a minute. I think it's going to be a banger. First, I'm proud to share that we're brought to you by Running Aces. They are the official sponsor of the RecPoker podcast. Most of what we do here is free. We're a largely volunteer-based organization, so we really depend on support from our sponsors and from our premium members who kick in $22 a month to take part in our training material and study opportunities. And I want you to know, if you're considering joining up, I will hope you do. You can get your first month of premium for only $5 by using the code RecPoker at checkout. And you know we love supporting food banks. So if you don't have $5, but if you make a donation of any amount to a local food bank and send us the receipt, we'll happily send you your first month of premium membership for free as a way of saying thanks for helping out your fellow humans. So I hope you do. Now, you get to hear my voice pretty often because they let me host the show on Mondays, but I'm only one man, and it takes a crew to make all the magic happen around here. We call our leadership panel the RECing Crew. And if you want to learn more about me or the rest of the RECing Crew, go to rec.poker/crew, or you can just listen up. We're going to meet a few of them tonight. We've got LoriAnn Persinger, Joe Coolis, John Somsky, Rob Washam, and of course, our invisible producer, Rob Gardner. It's been kind of a fun week. We've got a fun show to go here. I'm pretty excited. So I'll let you guys in behind the curtain of kind of like what I've been getting up to this week. I'm finally catching up on some RecPoker stuff. We're doing a new program this year where our premium members, the more premium events that you attend, the more sort of like raffle tickets you get. And at the end of the month, we're going to be raffling off a few prizes. The best prize is going to be, first place is a coaching session with RECing Crew member Matt Affleck himself. So every month, a premium member at RecPoker is going to get a coaching session with Matt Affleck. We're super excited about that. The second place prize is going to be a coaching session with Mark Zhang. Not as famous as Matt Affleck, but a very impressive online and live professional who works at a very high level. And then third prize, womp womp, a coaching session with me, Jim Reid. So you really want to hit the top two there. And if you decide that you'd rather have a peanut butter and jam sandwich than an hour of coaching from me, I understand that, and those arrangements can be made. But I am very excited about that. I think it's great. These RECing Crew members are getting more into what we're getting up to here, learning, teaching with our premium members more. And that's going to be a fantastic program. So every month going forward, if you're a premium member, get into those premium sessions, because we're going to be giving you one raffle ticket for every session that you enter. And it just means it's more and more likely that you're going to win a prize. Other news for me, I actually won a poker tournament. I was playing on PokerStars Ontario, and I won a $20 poker tournament for about $350 or something like that, which felt great. And we actually did a hand-by-hand review in the Poker Tracker 4 study group last week. So if you're interested in that, you can come and go kind of hand-by-hand and see how I helped exploit my opponents by the information that I was getting from Poker Tracker. And the other thing for me was I was visiting some family in Toronto over the weekend, and I was driving home afterwards. And one of our podcasts came up in my rotation, and it was Kathy Liebert, episode 663. And I was like, 663? I started thinking, and regular listeners will know, I didn't start RecPoker. Steve Fredland is the guy that founded it. And he got through 100 and more episodes with John Somsky, Rob Washam, Taylor Moss, Chris Jones, Andrew Feist, like a lot of the OGs of the RECing Crew. My first appearance on the show was episode 157. I encourage listeners to go back and check out episode 157. You can hear, I was like, I'm such a keener. Oh God, it's so awesome. But what that means is I've actually been on over 500 episodes of this podcast, and that floored me. I couldn't believe it. So this episode's all about poker dreams and pursuing our poker dreams. And if you had told me, 10 years ago that I would have been a panelist or a host for 500 episodes of a poker podcast, like, man, dream accomplished as far as I'm concerned. So that was I've had a pretty cool week. There's been a lot of cool poker stuff happening this week.
I would say congratulations on that. But what's a keener?
A keener?
What is a keener? Okay, am I the only one that doesn't know what that is?
Does a keener wear cotton socks? You know?
Okay, someone else must know. That's not a Canadian thing, is it? John, Rob, Joe, does anyone else want to help me out here?
I think
Well, no idea.
I
have
kind of
no
figured.
idea.
I kind of figured what you meant.
but I was the only one that had.
No.
Asked the question.
Rob, what's your guess? You guessed on a couple of these.
I kind of figured you were just kind of awestruck and this is so keen. So you're one of those guys. Oh, this is really keen.
That's basically it. Yeah. Okay. So you got there. I can't believe. But yeah, if you're like a little too keen about some things, I think is the way that it's usually described, like a try hard. I don't know.
Do you have your own dictionary that we could just have a copy so we could just like look things up?
It's a real word. I will stand by that, John.
To be fair, and as real-time follow-up, I Googled it, and in the dictionary, it does say a person who is extremely eager, zealous, or enthusiastic.
Okay.
Check. Check.
What's the word origin? Jim's fever dream does not count.
If either he bribed them to get it in, or maybe in this case we have to give him credit for having a weird vocabulary.
I'll tell you, I'm just very well read. I have the best words. I know all the great words, and you guys just have some catching. You guys have some catching up to do, is what I'm hearing. That's all I've heard.
Yes, no.
All the best words. Okay, I'm not touching that one.
It's very common in Australia. They use keen a lot. I'm very keen to do this, or I'm very, keen is a very well used word in Australia.
There you go. Oh my God, okay. So folks, if you're listening at home, you got to show up at 7:30 for the YouTube chat. The YouTube chat is having a lot of fun right now, and I wish that you, the audience at home, were in there. We'll get into this a little later, but yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff happening up over there. Someone else, what did you get up to this week? It would be hard pressed to have as much fun as I did, but I'm sure someone else had an interesting week. Who wants to jump in?
Well, I actually won a home game this week. A RecPoker home game.
Nice.
Not
Hard
only
to do.
that, but
Congrats.
to actually win it, I had to go heads up against Kathy Chang.
Wow.
Which was very disconcerting because she's a heck of a player, and I had to have my best going for me when I was playing her heads up. But I did get a home game win, and I actually got one last month. And so later on tonight, I'll be playing in the January Tournament of Champions.
Right. Yeah, that's exciting. And you've already got a jump on the Player of the Year race and everything else. So you're doing
not really, but
okay. Well, good
the home
for you.
Game was not the Player of the Year game.
I understand. All right. LoriAnn, you had a less successful poker week, but it sounds like you got up to some fun as well, if memory serves.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. I guess going 0 for 3 in tournaments would be considered less successful, but hey, I'm just keeping it real. It wasn't a good week, but I gave it a good try. But on the positive
0 for 3, that's not statistically anomalous. Like 0 for 3 is pretty. That's how it's supposed to go. Every once in a while.
But
yeah,
you just want to. Well, one of them I did get to the final table, but the other is not even a factor. Not even a factor. It's one of these cases make the final and didn't get paid. So unfortunately, but the other two, not even a factor. However, I do have a fun little segment that I'm going to tease that's coming up a little bit later. So make sure everyone sticks around for that.
All right. Yeah, we got a fun little interview coming up at the end of the show. So yeah, stick around for the end of the show for that, and of course for our raffle giveaway. Rob, John, what did you guys get? Oh, Rob, you said you got to win the home game club versus Kathy Chang. That's fantastic. John, what about you?
Well, for me, I have finished setting up the Marek Madness bracket picker. So if you go to bracket.rec.poker, you can make your picks in, and if you have the best bracket for Marek Madness, then you're going to win something. I don't know what that is. That's all in Taylor's domain. He's the one organizing everything. But be sure to get your picks in before the first games air, because if you're not there for the first night, you can't pick your brackets after we know who won.
Makes a lot of sense. And that's coming up every Tuesday night in March on YouTube at 9 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be a fantastic series. And you can find the brackets at bracket.rec.poker or head over to the RecPoker Discord. There's some information there as well. So I encourage folks to check that out. It is super fun. Joe Coolis, you had some run good in the home game from what I hear. And anything else to report?
Well, there needs to be a new badge made because I think that goes with the pins. In that I was able to get our Rob Washam to fold queens correctly to my bets, and he just threw them away, knowing that there's no way I could have ace king in that particular spot. So I think that deserves some sort of pin.
I think so too.
Rob is actually a good player, so him being able to fold is not such a big deal. You'd be much better off if you had gotten me to fold. I don't know that I've ever folded queens pre-flop.
And yeah, I'm thinking that you would have wanted me to stay in that hand because you did have pocket aces. So I think you kind of telegraphed your holdings to somebody that was paying attention.
Yeah, Joe, you're gonna get a pin. You're gonna get a pin that says "I need to bluff more pre-flop."
when you get aces 3 times, ace king 4 times, queens and kings in the same tournament, bluffing just doesn't come into it. What do I got to do? I got the best hand here.
I love it. What about you, invisible producer Rob Gardner? What'd you get up to this week? Anything fun?
Well, I had a hot, steamy weekend making out with a bottle of NyQuil. So, that's pretty much what I did all weekend.
Okay, in bed.
Always count on Rob for the TMI segment. Never fails. TMI, Rob. TMI.
Look, you do what you got to do. You know, like I go to my first live series in like 4 months. Come home sick.
Yeah,
and,
true.
Yeah, it was the only way to sleep was to stay heavy on the NyQuil and pseudo. So, but we're coming out.
Well,
slowly but surely.
Glad you're feeling better, and it was worth it. All the good times we had at RecPoker.
Oh, without a doubt.
Running aces.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna
get in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's it. Good for you, man. That's awesome. Well, so one of the things we're gonna talk about tonight is I had the pleasure of being on another podcast last week called Chase the Dream, which Rob Gardner is also very involved with, along with some RecPoker Premium members and some fantastic folks. So if you go to watchchasethedream.com, you can find out more information about that. And the show's all about them pursuing their poker dreams. And it really got me thinking, like, what's my poker dream? And what are the poker dreams of the panel here at RecPoker? And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I want the audience to get involved in this. And I'm curious to know, what are some of the poker dreams of some of our listeners and some of our members? Because we have such a wide variety of folks here, different skill levels, different experience levels. I think we'd have a really interesting collection of poker dreams. So I'm kind of interested to see how that breaks down. So I will say, if you're in the YouTube audience, of course, if you have any questions for any of the panelists here, please type them into the YouTube chat. And of course, I'd love to hear what's your poker dream as well. So if I see some of them come through, I'll make sure to share them with our audience here, and I hope that you do. And of course, if you're here live, I'd like you to stick around to the end of the show. Just like every week, we'll be giving away a fantastic prize, and we'll be trying to benefit a local food bank as well as part of that raffle. So do stick around. So I want to jump in here and just draw some attention to some of the YouTube chats. So keener is not a Canadian term, 100%. And my mom agrees. Well, actually, no, my mom wants to know if a keener is a hot dog. So she's very on brand for the conversation so far. Martha.
Now I know where you get it, Jim. Now I know where you get it.
Yeah, I come by it honestly. There's no doubt. Martha also says there's no such thing as an open face hot dog. So she's really on her game tonight. We've got some really fun comments from Benny the Jet, Joseph B. Walton, Stuart Carriage, Kim Kilroy, MD West 1811, and some other fun stuff like that. So way to go, guys. I love getting this stuff in the YouTube chat. It is so much fun. So yeah, get in there and get active. So I'll go first. For my poker dream, they asked me on the show last week. And honestly, I didn't have to think about it too hard. I'm a recreational player. I never want to be a professional player. That sounds like ass. That whole lifestyle is terrible. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But I'm involved in the industry. I've been playing poker for over 30 years already in my life. It's the game that I'm the most passionate about. And my poker dream is 50 years from now. Honestly, I want to still be playing poker. I want to still be loving a poker. I want to be talking about it. I want to be helping other people explore their love for poker. I think my biggest dream is that 50 years from now, still being a player, still being a coach, still being in the industry, the shine hasn't come off it, and that I still have this sort of childlike love and affection for the great game of poker, which is I just love it so much, and I enjoy every element of it. It's crazy. I can't believe it. But that's my poker dream. And we were thinking about so what are some of the obstacles that could get in the way of that? What are some of the ways that we could help ourselves achieve those dreams? I think some of the ways that I can help myself achieve those dreams are just never to get so deep into the game as a player that it's threatening my life bankroll if I run bad. Like I said, I don't want to go pro. I think going pro would be a great way to kill my love of the game. I don't want my work at RecPoker to be an obligation, for it to feel like a job, to take the shine off that. The coaching that I do, the hosting the podcast, all our sessions throughout the week are still so much fun. So I think that's one way that I can kind of help myself reach that dream, is by continuing for poker to be one part of my life and something that I get to enjoy, and not just the whole thing and what I'm always working on and always worried about. And I think that's important. And it was hard for me to come up with some speed bumps or some potential problems with me reaching my dream. I think the biggest one, honestly, is just, I'm a recreational player. I have a day job. I spend a lot of time on rec poker stuff. I spend more time on rec poker than I do on my day job in a week, for instance. And there's an opportunity cost for that. I actually don't get to play poker as frequently as I'd like to. I was talking to some friends in Minnesota last week, and we were comparing how many tournaments we played online in the last little while. And I realized I play on Tuesday nights in the Opera pretty often. Sometimes I'll fire up a Sunday. Now that the football season's over, I'm more likely to play on Sundays and that kind of thing. But, we're at the point, Mrs. Bluffsterini and I, we're at the point in our lives where we kind of need to be making more money with our day jobs. And I'm kind of doing myself and my family a disservice by not spending more time on my day job making money. So that's one thing, kind of the opportunity cost of the time. And also just kind of not being able to play as often. And I don't think that's ever going to get to the point where it stops me from loving the game. It stops me from enjoying the game. But, the bigger rec poker gets, we're mostly volunteers here. We don't have an operational budget to go hire a couple people to help run the place. So it's just going to be, more work, more time. I love it, but it does have a cost. So I do kind of worry about that sometimes. That's the only thing that I can really see getting in my way. And obviously I hope it doesn't. Any thoughts on that, or am I on the right track? Am I going crazy, or should we move on to the next dream?
No, I think, go ahead, Joe.
Well, the question I would have is that what you're talking about is burnout. So how are you going to not burn out doing administrative things, having to talk to me periodically? I mean, that's got to just wear you down. I can't imagine. I mean, it's the worst part. Luckily you got John and Rob and LoriAnn to talk to, but I mean, it's me. It's so how are you going to overcome that burnout factor in terms of the role that you have with 6,542 episodes that you've done on the podcast, in addition to sending out emails apparently at about 16 per minute?
Yes.
So how do you manage? How are you going to do that in the future as if this organization gets bigger?
It's a good question. And I'll tell you, so in my day job, I'm involved in construction and home renovation and quality control and that kind of stuff. And I've been self-employed I've been in that industry for 20 years now, almost 25 years. And the people that I work with and other folks, contractors will know this, it's hard to get good help in the contracting business. And I've kind of trained myself to, when I'm working with people, to really be hands-on, to micromanage, to show them exactly how I want things done. And so I'm very involved in the day-to-day of my day job. But when I got to join RecPoker and started taking more of a leadership position there, I realized that like the RECing Crew and the folks that have come together to make RecPoker what it is are brilliant, motivated, passionate people with amazing life skills that they bring to the table. And the real answer to your question, Joe, is to just kind of help other people help more, set them up for success, don't micromanage, and really just kind of remove myself from a lot of this stuff. And I'll say in the last couple of years, like Rob Washam has been taken on more and more around here. Rob Gardner, Chris Jones, Taylor Moss. I mean, John Somsky runs the entire home game club. I don't even raise a finger when it comes to that stuff. So honestly, that's kind of the real answer for me, is to say no to stuff. And like, RecPoker is just only going to do the stuff that we can realistically take on and succeed with. And then the stuff that we do take on, I am taking more of an attitude where someone comes to me with a great idea. I'm like, that's a great idea. Run with it. And let me know how I can help, So we talk about it a lot, but this is a group effort. This is a volunteer-based community. And the only way it's going to work is by everybody chipping in and sharing the load. And I think it's sustainable, but it is. Yeah, you're onto something there, Joe. Like there is a lot. The meetings, I run all the books, I do all the tax stuff. All the subscriptions. I'm the point of contact anytime someone has a problem with the website or something like that. Like there are a lot of sort of touches. And I would, in a perfect world, listen. If we had enough of an operational budget where I could like hire someone to handle a lot of the day-to-day admin stuff, that would be a great thing. We'll see. RecPoker, the mission for RecPoker is never to make anyone $1 million. Our goals are mostly about sustainability and adding value to the poker world. And if we're profitable at the end of that, that's great. But, it's never going to be something designed to help get people rich or to like build up enough revenue that we can create full-time jobs. But if we could pick one, that's the one it would be. Good answer. I hope I didn't ramble on too much with that.
No, not at all. I think, speaking for myself, you did touch on a lot of points that I was actually going to mention as far as poker dreams. I mean, mine is kind of simple. Everybody wants to play the main event, which you've done, and I think everyone else is done except for me. So that's still on my bucket list. But if I don't, I mean, it is a 10K buy-in, and I've only ever played one other 10K buy-in. So I would always prefer to satellite in, because for me, it's still a lot of money. And one of the things I'm very open to talk about, and I hope a lot of listeners can relate to, is the fact that that's one of the things that stopped me from realizing this dream, is being more realistic about bankroll management. And the fact for me, living in Vegas, where there's tournaments pretty much every day, there's a tournament series. Every time we turn around, every week, there's a big tournament series. But from the standpoint I look at it, where do I want to spend $600 on one tournament for the week where it has a $200K guarantee, or do I want to play a $200 daily by myself while my husband's away? And then when he gets back, we use that other $400 to play together. So that for me is how I balance the two, because it still allows me to play, but it allows me to play with my husband as part of our date day, which is something that's very important to me. It all goes back to priorities as well. So for me, and how do I balance it? I'll keep playing satellites, because that's one of my other dreams, is to win a big buy-in tournament. But I realize that I'm going to have to satellite in to do so, because let's be honest, tournaments with high variance, and especially this day and age, I just don't have the bankroll to fire 4 or 5 bullets in one tournament. Right. And I'm not embarrassed to admit that. That's just my real, that's my realism. And it's one of these things we're also preparing to, like to see my husband permanently retired in a few years. And then we can do, so if that's the trade-off right now, then that's what I'm happy to do. So that's kind of my poker realism right now.
I like that. And and that's a good point. Like I've been very lucky in the poker world already. I put a down payment on our first house with poker winnings. I was able to buy a car this summer with the main event finish. And so like I have a lot of excellent, wonderful reminders in my life about my own poker success. But yeah, I'd like to final, like, and I guess I final tabled the 6 max of the Irish Poker Open last year, so I've got a live final table under my belt. I do want to win a major event, of course. That's still something that I think we all have in common, but yeah, I like that. And Joe, I think that's a really good point. Like the burnout that you're talking about. I guess that's one of the things I'm talking about in my own. So that the thing that I'm going to do to help myself is to just kind of ask for help when I need help more, and accept the help that's put in front of me. This community is so generous and helpful and wonderful. I really just have to sort of take the help that's offered to me. Joe Coolis, what's your poker dream?
Well, so my poker dream came upon when I decided last year to look at the brackets for Marek Madness to see how many people were going to pick me when I went to go to the championship.
See where we're going with this.
And I looked, and I was surprised to find that there was only one person who picked me to pick, not the whole thing, to win one game. That was it. All of it. So I want to remind people, I won last year.
Yeah, this is the reigning champion of Marek Madness, just so we're clear.
So I went back and I looked at the brackets for this year, and there was only one person who is to win one match. So I guess as I look out, and it'll lead into something serious about what my poker goals are, but I'd like to obtain perhaps the admiration of my peers for my poker playing, perhaps that maybe in the most variant of variants for poker that I could win. Oh, I don't know, 2,
yes,
3 matches somehow. So anyway, if you're asking me, do I have poker goals? The answer really is no, I don't. Right? I mean, if I wanted to, I could probably, my wife would be very mad at me if I took 10 grand and put it into the main event, but I could play. I could go do that. And I'm very blessed to be able to say that it's not something that would set me significantly back. And so I could have that bucket moment if I wanted to. But it's not interesting enough for me just to go play and drop. And I played in an event last year, and I was like, okay, it's like a poker tournament for me. I think when I look, I don't want to be a pro. I mean, I think I've made that quite clear in terms of I tend to agree with the Jim that I think that would feel like the worst thing for me to do, to make sitting and staring at the board all day for 40 hours a week wouldn't be it. What brought me to poker was knowledge, right? I want to know, I want to learn everything I can about the game, because the game fascinates me in terms of the confluence of both the mathematics of it, but also the cognitive biases and the psychology that goes into it. And there's a lot of different things that you can kind of tease apart and really become an expert on. And so that's what I want to develop. And to link it to, the Marek Madness in a more serious way, is that I'd like to become somebody who the people that I respect in terms of their knowledge of the game will say, well, when we talk to Joe, he may not win very much, but he knows what he's talking about. It's almost more important that I know the theory and I know the understanding of, well, why does this work, than it is to actually put it in kind of practice. Mm-hmm. So I know that's not the common poker goal. It's why I don't really care when the WSOP is going on and the other matches are. Oh, it's coming out next week. Ooh, kind of a Debbie Downer for that. But I so appreciate, and that's what brought me to RecPoker, was the opportunity to be welcomed into a community that of very bright people who I could have conversations with, even if I am not there yet in terms of my knowledge of the game and my knowledge of the theory and everything that goes along. There are a lot of areas where I am the person that knows the most in the room. And it's nice to be able to now again develop a new knowledge stream where I'm not, and I can ask questions and I can learn things and contribute and push boundaries and challenge people. And that's what I enjoy. So that's my goal, is to keep doing that.
I like that.
And Joe, I think that's an element of that, I think, is common with a lot of recreational players, because we're never going to put the volume in to actually like realize our skill edge. Even if we get to the point where we're killers, we're just never going to play enough tournaments to get that kind of results-based recognition. So I think having that bar at sort of like being able to have intelligent conversations about poker strategy with intelligent poker players, I think that is kind of like that is what success should look like for a lot of recreational players.
Well, I think that poker allows you to recreate. At the same time, it can give you, like, I don't want to sit down and watch, and binge on shows. It's fine if people do that. Right. I mean, lots of people have that enjoyment, but I don't see, I don't want to say that time is wasted. That sounds arrogant. It's just, I feel very much like, well, I want to sit down and say, well, this is what I'm going to work on. So when I'm listening to a podcast on the way home, it's telling me something, or I'm learning something, or something will occur to me that I haven't seen before. And that's, I think, one of the things that poker offers. And I've heard a number of people that that I've worked with in the past say that eventually playing becomes less interesting in comparison to the intellectual exercise that underlies it.
So. Yep. I think that's a good point. All right. I just want to remind our YouTube folks here to get any questions in that you have. And we'll start entering the words food bank in for our raffle a little later on in the show. I also want to mention that if anyone is interested in making a donation to RecPoker through the YouTube chat, that's a super chat or a super sticky or a super comment, we share a portion of all those donations with a local food bank as well. So I encourage you to help out a local food bank and help us out as well. And finally, if folks want to go to rec.poker/support, you can find some other ways to help us out without spending $1, and in some ways where you can help us out by spending $1. Of course, we appreciate both. And one of those great ways I'll just mention is going to our Patreon page. If you go to Patreon/RecPoker, you can find audio versions of almost all of our training videos every month available basically as a podcast, so that you can just download it to your phone, listen to it while you're driving or painting the house or cooking eggs or whatever you get up to while you're listening to podcasts. Cleaning other people's gutters. Yeah, exactly. All that kind of stuff. Yeah. So let's get into a couple of these YouTube questions, and I want to hear from Rob and John about some of their poker dreams. We've got DFS Brat, who says, so we'll start with Phil Razor. My poker dream is knocking out Taylor Moss. That's a very common dream. Phil. I don't think you're going to have a hard time finding some friends that have a similar dream. DFS Brat says, mine is getting back to full-time status as a player. Yep, I love that. That's a great one. I think Benny and the Jet put a great question out here. Would love to know how many years of poker playing experience this RECing Crew has combined. So that's a good question. Maybe we could just do it here on the air real quick. So I started playing poker when I was like 7 or 8 with my cousins at the cottage around the dining room table. So that's about 35 years for me or so. So I'm about 35. Who wants to go next? Poker playing experience. How many years? Let's do some quick math. Rob.
Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, Rob.
Probably 50, at least 50 years.
Yeah. You didn't read the comment that was mine afterwards, did you, Jim?
Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, yeah, we got to explain more. Yeah, that's right. Joe says you're skewing the scale, Rob. Just let him in here. John Somsky, what about you? How old are you?
I would give him about 48 years, because I think I started about 7 or 8 as well.
Yeah, nice. I love that. LoriAnn, how long have you been playing poker?
First and foremost, I want to say we've obviously got a bunch of degens here, but no. Maybe the oldest in the group with the least experience. Well, as far as playing poker seriously or recreationally, I started recreationally. I was going to say I started recreationally in 2009. But as far as when I started taking it more seriously, I would say probably, I don't know, maybe around 2016, 2017. So a lot less, but see, it's accumulated experience, I guess you could say, because I've been watching it on TV for years, and then I was part of the poker media. So, but as far as starting to play it seriously, where I started to be able to utilize what I was seeing other really good players do, I would say for me, it's been basically where I've been able to up my game, but just honestly, maybe the last 4 or 5 years. And that's an honest statement. That before that, it was purely recreational, and I didn't really take the time to study 3-bet ranges or anything like that, and I was pretty tight. There was a lot of times, I'm sure I just played ABC poker. So I was just kind of going through the motions. So for me, it's been a little more recent.
Sure. What about you, Joe?
If we want to talk about seriously studying and playing poker, For me, it would be about 26 years, not 50.
Oh,
Because I mean, back in the day, you would play around the kitchen table with nickels and pennies, and that, to me, that was not real strategic poker. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. For me, serious poker is probably about 30 years.
Okay.
30
Early
years.
90s.
Yeah.
Wow,
I
John.
like that. So yeah, so I'll take some numbers off for like the time we were playing when we were 8 and 18. I got serious in my late teens as well. I was obviously just kind of learning and having fun until then. Joe Coolis, how many years of poker playing experience do you have?
Well, I mean, I played when I was a kid, but I started getting more interested in getting better at the game. Let's just say, after the usual moment of winning some random tournament randomly, was probably 2016. I needed some sort of pursuit or something to study to distract me from something that was going on then. That I played since then. I seriously and studied since that point.
Nice. What about invisible producer Rob Gardner? What about you? How many years?
23.
23.
23.
Okay.
Wow.
There we go. So I will do some quick math while we're talking about something else, because I don't like to do math live on the show. In fact, why don't we throw... Oh, Phil Razor, super chat from frenemy Phil Razor. Thank you so much. That is fantastic. I really appreciate that donation. And Phil, we're going to share a portion of that with a local food bank. So you are doing great work. And thank you so much for throwing that super chat our way. I really appreciate that. Phil also says his poker dream is another dream of his is to get my significant other to play poker. Yeah, that's also a common element. I think that one's pretty common as well. All right, Rob Washam, what is your poker dream?
Well, one of the things that I really enjoy in Rec Poker is being kind of an advocate for recreational players and trying to promote the recreational player, and not, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that I want them to feel comfortable. I never want to be in a position where I'm making somebody uncomfortable at the poker table or in poker conversations or whatever it is. I just want to always make sure that I'm an advocate for the rec poker player. And personal goal would be to win the Rec Poker Player of the Year.
Yes.
2 years ago, last year, I think it was Evil Roy, CA, our boy Dave, won it. The previous year, it was Taylor Moss. And I actually came in second that year. So it was... And I actually had a chance. I was playing. He had already been busted out of the last game of the year, and I was still playing.
Oh, I remember.
I just had to get like into fourth place or second place or something like that. And I was on the final table, and I think I went out like seventh or something like that. So I just barely didn't make it. So I think one of the things I'd like to do is be able to take that down.
That's a good one. And so if folks don't know, we do a player of the year race in No Limit Hold'em on the first Wednesday of every month. And we do a player of the year race for our mixed game series, which is on the second Wednesday of every month. And we only count your top 10 scores of the year. So even if you miss a couple months, or if you have a couple months where you bust early, we don't hold that against you. Your best 10 scores of the 12 in the year count towards your score. So actually, folks could still get involved even now and play in the mixed game of the month this Wednesday. And I encourage folks to go get involved in the home game club. It's free. The prizes are real. The competition is fierce, and we put a lot of stock in that player of the year race. And it is there's some very impressive players in that club. So
and another goal of mine, or a dream, you might say, is to actually get a silver pin. Because I've been around here in Rec Poker since the very beginning, and I still don't have a silver pin.
You got a chance tonight, though, because you're playing in the Tournament of Champions. Okay, that's exciting. Yeah, so folks, you get these bronze pins here by winning any of our nightly tournaments or our daily tournaments on Saturday. There's a bunch of different ways to win the bronze pins. But if you win a tournament in January, then in February, you get to join the Tournament of Champions. And whoever wins the Tournament of Champions gets this beautiful, much bigger, more impressive, more elusive, jealousy-generating silver pin that I really... it feels great to have it, too.
Rob also could have won one of those if he had beaten Taylor for the Player of the Year. Yeah. The Player of the Year winner gets one as well.
Good point. I like that. That's a great way of thinking about it.
It feels like salt in a wound, though.
It does.
Yeah,
he's on the podcast.
He's right there.
Hey. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm also playing in the Tournament of Champions tonight. I also have not won a silver pin, so if I have anything to say with it, you won't be winning one tonight.
That's right. I love to hear it.
Shots fired.
All right, John. Speaking of John Somsky, John, what's your poker dream?
Well, despite all of the vitriol that I just spewed, I really want to continue to be a positive influence to the poker community. I've always tried to be welcoming and positive for that. Recently, I've actually taken a step back and I have not played as seriously because life and work and everything else has kind of taken over and I've had to step back. So because of that, I haven't really been playing much money for cash. The majority of the poker that I play, the vast majority, is in the home games for rec.poker. So the good news is I still feel like I'm playing against good players. So, and I'm not risking any money. But right now I've been using it more as stress relief as opposed to focused play. What I'd like to do is start getting back into focused play. I'd like to be able to play some of those bigger buy-in tournaments and not feel like I'm just throwing the money away. Feel like I have a reasonable shot at it. I am also one of the people who has not played in the main event. I think $2,500 is the most I've ever put down for a tournament entry, and that was off of a $250 satellite that I did that with. So in general, my rule is I won't direct buy into a tournament over $500. I would like to get to where I have confidence in myself that I can change that. Now, I've broken that rule a few times, World Series, seniors tournament, things like that. But I really want to get back to being serious and have more confidence in my game again and being able to actually spend more time playing. And I don't know, it's not going to happen this month, but it might happen this year. And I'm hoping that I can get back to that.
That's great, man. And if folks don't know, John Somsky is not just a RecPoker VIP. He also was very involved with Ante Up, their organization, and runs their home game club as well. He has a lot going on in his life to do with poker. And of course, like most of us, he has a job and a family. And, I feel you, brother. It's kind of hard to find the time sometimes, but that's, the sign of a rich, full life. So congratulations on that. I hope you do find that time. While we've got you, John, someone had asked who has the most RecPoker pins. So Taylor, thinking that it's Taylor, has asked, good question. I also would like to know who has the most pins. It might be Taylor. I'm just looking in the spreadsheet here. Taylor has a very impressive amount. I believe he has 10 bronze pins, 6 silver pins, and a gold pin. He's one of only 2 people to have a gold pin. So that might be the most, but John Somsky, you're no slouch. You're in there with, I think, something like 13 bronze pins. Yeah, that's what I see here. Kim Kilroy has 10 and 3 silvers. It's like there's a lot of people in the double digits, which is very hard to do.
For the total pins, Taylor Moss does have the most with 17 pins.
I'm shocked.
Next up is Evil Roy, David Westerveld, with 14 pins. Then we have Kim Kilroy with and myself tied for 13 pins. Then we have Eric Anderson with 10, Jacob Kiki with 10, and now then KB.
Nice. Amazing. So several folks in the double digits. And that's, listen, if folks don't know, you can only win 1 pin per year from each type of tournament. So if you win a nightly tournament, you get a pin. If you win a second nightly tournament that year, too bad. You already won yours. If you win a Wednesday night player of the year tournament, you get a pin. If you win a mixed game, you get a pin. John Somsky, is there another way to get a bronze pin? It's kind of escaping.
Those are the 3 bronze pins you can get every year.
Every year, you can only get 3 in a year. So some of these folks with multiple, with 9, 10, 11 bronze pins, they've been crushing it in the home game club for years. And we structured it that way so that it makes it a little more fair for everybody. So I think that's amazing. And yes, Taylor, you're the one that has the most pins. You're an excellent poker player. Oh, God, it's just
you know what also has a lot of pins?
What's that?
You know what also has a lot of gets pinned a lot?
A donkey.
A donkey. I love it. Yes, exactly. Oh, great question. Great one. All right, we've also got a question here from DFS Brat. Was saying, do you have any advice for folks who do want to go pro and make a living in the game? I mean, I have 2 pieces of advice. My first would be think long and hard about it, and make sure that you've got a bankroll that can allow that, and that you're willing to take this thing that you love and turn it into something that you have to do every day. And then my second piece of advice would be to play cash. don't play tournaments. If you're trying to make a go at it, people can do it. You can make a living playing cash. It's not irresponsible like it is to try and make a living playing tournaments, again, in my opinion. But you got to put in a lot of volume. You got to play in good games, and you got to be bankrolled for it. But I would say try and find something else to do and do poker on the side, because that's the best way to enjoy poker as a recreational player. Joe, did you have something there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that too, you have to understand that it's a hustle, right? I don't know. The poker pros that I've interviewed who do it consistently, they're doing a lot of stuff. They're moving, they're shaking, they're squeezing everything they can out of it, because the income that you can gain from it is a lot less than you can get. There's even Alex Assassinato Fitzgerald says there are so many more easy ways to make money. If you're bright enough to make money in poker, you're probably bright enough to make money in some other way. But if it's what you want to do, just be prepared to hustle and in order to make it work.
Yeah, I like it. There was one more in here. Let's go. I did the math. So this group, this podcast panel right now, between us, we have 124 years of playing poker seriously. That doesn't even count the time as children when we were learning the game and splashing around for pennies and smarties and push pins. So way to go, gang. I mean, that's pretty impressive. You learn a lot about poker for playing over a century as a group. So I'm impressed. That's fantastic. That's very cool. All right. Let me see what else we got here. We talked to Rob. We talked to John. Okay, I want to just mention we are going to be doing our food bank raffle at the end of the show. And the reason that we support local food banks is just because it's a tough time in the world right now. And if you pull out your smartphone right now and Google food banks near me, you'll find an organization that can benefit from a few dollars from your wallet, a few hours of volunteer time in a week, or some non-perishable food items from your pantry. And I'd encourage you to please support your local food bank. People need a lot of help right now. And if you're in a position to spare a little something, that would go a long way. I'm happy to report that at the Rec Poker weekend, we were able to raise over $600 for our food bank drive. It was a bunch of stuff that came in. People brought actual donations, and we got a bunch of dried goods. I want to shout out some people. I want to thank Daniel Kennedy for volunteering to drive the actual box of donations down to the food bank. Thank you, Dan, for that. Also, everyone who dropped off non-perishable food items. We filled a huge tote full of those, which was really helpful. So I appreciate that. Dave Barker and Chris Jones also made cash donations. A guy named Joe, who didn't share his last name, did. A guy named Matt, who didn't share his last name, but thank you to them very much. And then 4 people who really dug deep into their pockets and donated quite a lot. Rob Adsom, Dan Kennedy again, John Somsky, and I hate to say it, but even Taylor Moss. God damn it, he's actually a good guy. We give him a hard time, but he's actually a good guy. So thank you to everyone who was involved in that, and thank you to John Barrows and everyone at Running Aces for helping us put that together. And if folks want to support that particular cause, we made those donations to the Second Harvest Heartland Food Bank, which is right there in Minnesota. And I was really glad that we could put that together. But yeah, if you type the words food bank into the YouTube chat, you will be entered into our raffle at the end. Rob Washam, you're in charge of our fantastic prizes. You've got that big Santa Claus sack of goodies next to you there. What are the winners going to win tonight if we draw their name?
Well, tonight we are going to be giving away a free month at pokercoaching.com. And the reason we're doing that is because Poker Coaching is offering a Valentine's Day sale starting tomorrow through the 17th. You can save up to $1,000 on Poker Coaching Premium and Crush Poker in 2025. Or you could save $48 every month when you buy 2 months, get 1 month free. Or you can save $353 when you get 6 months, or save a full $1,000 when you get a 12-month subscription. And if you're a newsletter subscriber, watch your email starting tomorrow, and we'll have a link to this sale. And if you're not a newsletter subscriber, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Go to Rec.Poker homepage. On the bottom, you can enter your email address to subscribe. So check out Poker Coaching, and it is Valentine's week. Friday is Valentine's Day, so take advantage of the sales when you can.
That's a great one, Rob. Good point. And yeah, we call it Twerp This Week in Rec Poker. That's our newsletter, and it gives you all sorts of great info about the free events that are coming up this week, the premium events, and also if we have any fantastic deals from some of our learning partners, we pass that discount on along to you in the newsletter as well. So yeah, of course, if you haven't signed up yet, I hope you do. And yeah, so it's great. We're seeing some people throw in their food bank raffle tickets in there. Keep it up, gang. Rob Gardner, our invisible producer, what is your poker dream?
Man, I had a really good answer set up for this, and then Jim was just like, hey, if you play tournaments, you're irresponsible and you're gonna die and you're gonna end up homeless in Vegas, grabbing beers out of the trash can, and I was like, damn,
making out with a NyQuil bottle.
Making out with a NyQuil bottle, like, what do I do now? No, I mean, when I came into this game, I was competitive in high school and college. I played, I ran track and cross country, got to run collegiately on scholarship, and went to 2 different schools for that. And I've always had that competitive itch, and I've always been the, if there's a flat road and there's a road that goes up the hill, I'm going to take the road up the hill and go after it. And when I got into poker, I wanted to make my mark. I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to go out and get big accolades and prove to the world that I could be, one of the best players. And eventually I kind of snapped out of it and realized that there was no such thing as proving yourself in the industry, and that my motivations are all wrong. And it took me through a little bit of a process, but where I came out of it, I kind of had this realization that, instead of trying to, win tournaments to impress people or to put trophies on the mantle, it was like, hey, I'm trying to do 2 of the hardest things in the world: be successful in poker and run businesses. And this is an opportunity for me to set an example for my family, my kids, my grandkids, of how to not back down and how to fall and get back up. And probably most importantly, how to fall forward and make mistakes and be comfortable with that. And so that's kind of been my mantra, and that'll take me in a million different places, and it'll end up with a million different goals. But it all just comes back to, you know, when it's all said and done, I want people to look and say, man, he just never gave up. He just never, ever gave up.
Yep. I like it. Well, you've got what it takes, buddy. I see the trajectory that you're on.
Appreciate that.
We got a comment from Benny the Jet. He says, my goal is to move from having a weekly poker budget to having a separate poker bankroll. The redeposit button has been worn out on his keyboard. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I mean, that's a great goal to have, Benny. In fact, Daniel Kennedy, who's come up a few times in this show, he actually did that just this past year. He's been playing on Global and having some great results there. And this is the year that he moved from having just sort of like a budget to having a bankroll. And that's a wonderful thing. I'm in the same position. I'm very frugal, and I'm very strict about my bankroll management. And so I play stakes that I can afford to play. And if I'm going to play bigger, I sell a lot of action. And having a poker bankroll that's segregated from your household budget is it's not necessary, but it is great. It does help you pull the trigger when you know it's time to pull the trigger. Oh, we got Ripley. We got Ripley back
making
in
an appearance.
Nice. You love to see it. You love to see it.
At least Ripley's tail is making an appearance.
You're frugal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Has that not come across over the years, Joe?
Have you not noticed that he uses a generic peanut butter? Like he's going to Dollar General and getting the
barcodes on it for,
that's
just
amazing.
Peanut butter.
No, and actually I'm experimenting because I think Eric Weinrub sent me a jar of peanut butter, some specialty peanut butter from Virginia that's like spicy honey peanut butter that I'm building into my next sandwich impression. So I want you guys to know I have taste, even though I'm frugal. Doesn't mean I'm just like eating sawdust and water all the time, which is not something we do. I don't know why I said that. All right, LoriAnn, you had talked about kind of being a positive influence on the poker community, being one of your goals. I like to think that you've been in the poker media. You're very loved as a player in the world. You're here on the RecPoker podcast now as a regular panelist. And I think, people appreciate your positivity. What else? We all kind of talked about like our dreams, like what's going to get in the way of that? What are some of the stumbling blocks that you think might make that harder to accomplish? And how can you avoid those? And how can other people like here on the crew, how can they help you reach that dream?
I don't know if I really have any stumbling blocks per se to being a positive role model in the poker community, as long as I stay true to myself and who I am. So hopefully that answered the first question. But as far as the other stumbling blocks, hey, any and everything, because one of my other dreams I didn't mention was I've always been interested in poker commentating, or kind of like a sideline reporter. So, which is going to be kind of a good segue again to my LA and LV segment that's coming up here shortly that I keep teasing about. So make sure you stay around for that. But like I said, that's what again, just to be a positive community or influence on the poker community. Like I like to be a positive influence in life. I mean, as far as I know, we only get one go around. So I just want to make sure I'm leaving a good and positive mark. So like I said, if you gentlemen see me doing something that you think is not, good for the community itself, shoot me a text and say, hey, you're not because I've actually started wearing, I wear my RecPoker patch now. So
nice.
Some people ask about it. Unfortunately, like I said, I went 0 for 3, but but still trying to represent and showing it as people. So if they ask about it, so then I can, pass that on.
That's
talk
great.
About the community.
Yep.
So
we have to have a small conversation about the patch now. Just we'll talk about it later, Lori.
Yeah, that's right.
Should I be worried? Should I be scared?
Patches are for closers. That's what I'm just saying. Patches are for closers.
Oh, that's
Let me see.
funny.
How do I shut this off? Let me stop this.
Yeah, get here. Benny the Jet chimes in.
Wait a minute, that's not helping me, Joe.
Yeah, that's right. That's not very positive. It's not very positive and encouraging.
I haven't turned the marker on yet for just to start. What help you got?
I think you need a little work in the positive influence part of that. Positivity here. Yes.
Benny the Jet says, I think LoriAnn would be amazing at commentating. So you've got some fans out there already, LoriAnn. And I think if we can make the dates work, we'll be pulling you in for some work in the Marek Madness commentary booth as well on Tuesday nights in March. We call it Marek, but most of you know it as March. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll see. If you like LoriAnn in the commentary role, I hope we can find some Tuesdays in March to get to know her and that a little better. All right, what do you think, Invisible Producer Rob Gardner? Should we roll into LoriAnn's LA in LV segment? LoriAnn, do you want to kind of tee us up here? You had an interesting conversation with a kind of a cool person in Las Vegas recently.
I did. Thanks for that segue, Jim. Recently, I'm not sure if anyone in our viewing audience is aware of the very brand new, I shouldn't say it's totally new, the newish Venetian poker room that's located now in the Palazzo Shops. They just unveiled their brand new live streaming studio. In fact, today, as we're watching this or we're doing this, do not go away from this, but they're actually live streaming their first ever final table. So I got a chance to sit down with Tommy LaRosa, like I said, is Director of Poker Operations at the Venetian Poker Room, and sit down with him and had a quick interview. So that's what you're going to be teeing up. And I want to apologize to our viewers. There's a lot going on in the background, but I know our great producer, Rob, did what he could with the audio. So hopefully everyone is able to hear it okay. And I guess let it go. And we'll talk about it a little bit afterwards.
Here we go.
This is LoriAnn, and I'm back with Tommy LaRosa, who is the Director of Poker Operations here in the Venetian Poker Room. And he was kind enough to give us a few moments of his time to discuss their brand new live streaming studio here in the Venetian Poker Room. Thank you, Tommy.
Lori, thank you for being here today, and I'm honored to be a part of it, so thank you.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you again. Now, if you don't mind, can you please give us the backstory on how the studio came about?
Yeah, pretty much, Apollo came to me, our leaders here in the building came to me, and they had the idea of, wanting to move the poker room to its new location, right? And so they basically asked me anything and everything that I would want in a new room, and I put everything down. And the streaming studio was something that I've had a vision of mine for several years, and I put it down, and they asked me what it was about and what I would do, and I sold them my vision, and the leaders in this building supported me and made it happen. So that's why we're sitting here today.
Well, thank you. And I want to apologize to our audience if it's a little bit of background noise, because not only are they putting the finishing touches on the studio, getting ready for their very first live stream on Monday, we also have a tournament that's going on in the background. Plus, the poker room is packed, so you're going to hear a lot of background noise. So just wanted to put that out there. So the next thing I want to cover is, I believe, and now correct me if I'm wrong, that the studio was originally supposed to open last summer. Is that correct, or am I mixing up my information?
Yeah, so the room opened up, early August of 24. However, we did not want to rush the studio because we wanted to make sure we did it the right way. So the plan was never to open up the streaming studio with the new room, because we were speaking to experts in the industry. We were, we were speaking to all the different streams that were out there, trying to understand what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, and we wanted to make sure it was the most secure stream in the industry, and along with that being, one of the top production streams in the industry. So we didn't want to rush into it. We really wanted to take our time, do it the right way, and that's why we're here today, right? February 2025, and we're finally able to unveil this streaming studio. And I can't wait for Monday. Once we get that first stream in the air, it's gonna. I just can't wait. I'm super excited.
It is pretty cool. So everything is on schedule, or was it a little bit behind schedule? Was there actually any official date, or was this kind of what you had in mind to make sure you were open in time?
Yeah, no, this is really the timeline. Based on the construction of once we finally figured out what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it, this was the timeline. And so yeah, we're hosting with our partner MSPT. We're running a $1,600 buy-in, $1 million guarantee, and this is the final flight. Day 1C today, day 2 is tomorrow, and then the day 3, the streaming table will be Monday.
Tommy, you literally took out some of which was gonna cover later on, but I'm just gonna reiterate pretty much in my part what you just said, what is going on in the background. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now, can we expect to see now, if I'm not mistaken, also this is in partnership, and I see the t-shirts, obviously with Poker Go. So can we expect to see the same quality of streams that Poker Go is known for?
Yeah, exactly. That's why we partnered with Poker Go. They're the gold standard in the industry. We wanted to make sure we were doing this the right way. And so, yeah, it was a no-brainer to deal with the Poker Go team and Maury Eskandani. We're just super excited to be a part of them and partnered with them. They're going to be the production team behind it. Obviously the Venetian Poker Room will be operating the cash games and the tournaments. But to have the production team of Poker Go behind us, I just can't say enough good things about them.
Now, do you know, I don't know if you'd be able to answer this for me or not, but can we expect to see many of the same commentators that Poker Go is known for, like Jeff Platt, any Schumann or anyone like that?
I think you'll see some familiar faces for sure, right? We want to build consistency, right? So the people that are watching get used to seeing, who's behind the mic and right. So, but yeah, I think you'll see or hear some familiar faces for sure.
Now, in addition to the first final table stream, which at the time of this is going to, like you said, be on Monday, February 10th, the very next one that's in line in less than a week from now is the Card Player Poker Tour, which is going to be next Sunday the 16th. Are there any, do you have any other events that you have immediately on the schedule coming up that you can tell us about?
Yeah. So these are the two events in February, right? The $1,600 this weekend with the MSBT, $1,600 buy-in next weekend with the Card Player Poker Tour, both $1 million guarantees. But the action doesn't stop there. In early March, we have an $1,100, $500,000 guarantee and a $1,600, $750,000 guarantee. So both those final tables will be streamed as well. And that schedule is actually out. You can go to VenetianLasVegas.com, check out the schedule, and we hope to see you here.
I'm excited, and it's something which I will talk about again on the podcast. But those of you who've never played on the live stream, I will say this is something that is very exciting, and a lot of people that maybe don't play the lower buy-in tournaments get a chance to do. Are you also going to be doing cash streams as well? Yeah, so we're working with a few groups that have a lot of interest in being on stream. Our first cash game stream is going to be February 21st. The stream should be about 5 o'clock at night on our YouTube channel, Venetian Poker Live. So if you haven't, like and subscribe to Venetian Poker Live on YouTube. But the first game is going to be a 100, 200 no limit hold'em game, $20,000 minimum buy-in. So there should be plenty of action, plenty of chips on the table, and we're super excited for that. That's your first live stream? That's
our first live cash game stream.
You're coming out, you're swinging for the fences right off the bat. Now, is that 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so that everyone knows?
The cards will be in the air at 5 p.m. with the delay that we're required. I believe it'll be on an hour delay to start. So check us out. Check us out Monday on Venetian Poker Live. The following Sunday, and then definitely February 21st will be our first live cash game stream.
100, 200. Are you able to give any names, or do you know anyone yet?
Listen, there's going to be some familiar faces that I think everybody is used to seeing, and plenty of gamble, and I think everyone's going to want to tune in for sure, because I think there's going to be plenty of action.
Wow. Okay. I was not aware of that, but now I know. Okay, and lastly, is there anything that maybe I didn't cover that you'd like our viewers to know about the studio?
Listen, we're going to be utilizing the studio for cash game streams, for deep stack final tables. We're also going to be doing it to host podcasts, right? So we're talking to a lot of the biggest and the brightest podcasts in the country, whether it's business, whether it's sports, whether it's fantasy sports, whatever it might be. We want this to be, where people are doing their podcast live from the Venetian Poker Room, live from the Venetian Resort, Las Vegas, right? We want just to bring the energy and the excitement to this room and this building, kind of like you experience in Las Vegas during any major sporting weekend, whether it's the Super Bowl, March Madness, whatever it might be. I want to bring that same energy and vibe here in the poker room, and I think we're starting to capture that right now. So just really excited. The room is packed today. Almost every table is going. It's pretty amazing to see with the new room.
He's not exaggerating, folks. I need to talk over him. He's not exaggerating. These are literally one of the tables I'm doing this interview on, and one of the table you see right in front of the studio are literally the only two empty tables in the whole room.
Yeah, and we're getting pushed back here in the corner, which is a good thing, right? So, no, the room has been amazing. The players have been amazing. Overwhelmingly positive, just feedback about the room. And I just couldn't be happier with the vibe and the energy that we've created up here. And if you haven't checked us out, I just encourage you to come give us a peek. Convenient parking right off the Palazzo parking garage. You can park on level 2, take the casino elevators up to level 2. You'll be in the poker room in 60 seconds flat. So if you haven't checked us out, please come in and give us a spin.
Thank you, Tommy. Unfortunately, you're not going to give me much to talk about on the stream itself, on the podcast on Monday, because that's some of the points which I will definitely reiterate how convenient it is to park. The room itself is gorgeous, and also I have to say, in my opinion, they have the most comfortable poker chairs in all of Las Vegas. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the chairs were a big thing for me as well. And like I said, my senior leadership here in the Apollo group, they have been nothing but supportive. They asked me what we needed, what we wanted, and there wasn't a box that wasn't ticked off on any of that list. So just my leadership, has just been really invested into not only us as team members, but our players. And I just really hope the players can see that and feel that when they walk into the building.
I think you have succeeded.
Well, great. Well, Lori, thank you so much for allowing me to be on this today. It's a pleasure, and happy to work with you anytime.
Well, thank you, Tommy. Again, appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your very busy schedule to sit and talk with me for a few moments.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Making an impact in Las Vegas. The LA and LV segment is going strong. Has anyone else actually played at the new Venetian room? I got to play down there with Mike Patrick and Chad McVean when I was down in November. It is a beautiful room, and the chairs are very comfortable. Has anyone else had the chance?
They are.
Yeah, just look at that. I mean, come on, that's a stylish spot, no doubt about it. And I will say the Venetian has great service as well. The floor is excellent. We're not affiliated with them in any way. They're not paying us to say
no, they're not.
But the new room is nice, and it is a great place to go and play. Did you have anything else about that, Lori? Are you looking forward to getting in there? Do you have any plans?
Oh, definitely. Looking forward to it. And like I said, I won't be able to play. They do have the next one they plan on live streaming will be on Sunday, which is going to be it's a $1,600 card player poker tour. Once again, with another $1 million guarantee. And starting tomorrow, they're running $200 milestone satellites, which normally I would try to get one of those, but unfortunately, it's for Valentine's Day weekend, and we do have prior plans. Well, I'm not sorry. I'm sorry, not
humble
sorry.
Brag. Humble brag. Someone loves me.
Sorry, not sorry.
Well, congratulations. That's
thank
fun.
you. But definitely in the very near future, like Tommy said, they will be running more milestone satellites. And which is the one thing I want to touch on is that it's a great chance for recreational players like ourselves who don't regularly play or don't have the bankroll for $1,600 buy-ins, a chance to get in on a satellite and possibly play for a six-figure amount of money on a live stream final table. Yeah. So definitely looking forward to it.
Very cool. All right, well, we're going to wrap up the show in just a couple minutes here, but first I want to just get to a couple more YouTube comments. Benny the Jet says, I listen to the podcast every week during my day job of being a courier. Always look forward to new episodes. Thanks, Benny. You guys keep listening. We're going to keep making them. This is the most fun I have in a week, no doubt about it. Luke O, which is Luke O'Driscoll. First of all, Luke, I apologize. I think I erroneously labeled you as someone from Australia, but I've been corrected that you are actually a proud New Zealander. From New Zealand? New Zealandite? Someone from New Zealand. Anyway, Luke... Luke Kiwi says, I think I found RecPoker 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, Kiwi. Is that accepted? Can we say that, or is that their word? I'm not sure. Are we allowed to call them Kiwis? Luke, you're going to have to get back to us in the YouTube chat here. He says he found RecPoker in 2020 or 2022. He only has a handful of drunk army poker games before that. So he's at 5 years of poker, and RecPoker is to blame for his strengths and weaknesses. Yep, fair. I appreciate that. Luke. And we have a correction about the gold pin. That's right. The silver pin is for the player of the year. The gold pin you can only win in our April Go for the Gold tournament, which is an invitational tournament. If you have ever in your lifetime won a silver pin, sorry, John and Rob, to rub it in, You are invited to the Go for the Gold tournament every April. It's like the Masters. Once you win, you're invited back every year. And we only give out one gold pin a year. That's why Taylor Moss has one and Daniel Kennedy has one. And those are the only two folks in the world that have.
Hey, John. John.
Yes,
I know the guy. I know the guy that runs the home games. I think I could get you in for that game.
Yeah, you know, I on all of the TOCs, I make sure that I add and remove or suspend people from the club so that they can't physically play. And it's not because I think that people are going to cheat. It's just that I know for me, I don't remember. Okay, did I win a tournament this month, or was it last month or the month before? So, you know, but I know I haven't won a silver. There's no mistaking that.
Life is different once you win a silver. It's like colors are brighter, taste better. You know, it's an amazing thing. It's just like the world.
Yeah, but is that only because the silver had asterisks?
Okay, I knew someone was going to bring up the asterisk. I knew it. Listen, buddy, just because my first bronze pin ever was an asterisk pin, did I actually get was the silver one an asterisk, and then
the silver one was an asterisk?
But then, did I actually win a silver one after that, or do I only have the asterisk one? Now I don't even remember.
Asterisk one.
God damn it! Okay.
Why is there an asterisk?
So, we play.
You cannot throw a grenade and run away. We've discussed this.
We play the Tournament of Champions on the second Monday of every month. That particular month, somehow I had set up, and I make more mistakes than I should, but I'm setting up enough tournaments that, you know, it's going to happen. I accidentally set one up for Sunday night. So the people who thought that they were ready to play weren't able to make it to the tournament. Well, Jim won that tournament. So he won a Player of the Year tournament or Tournament of Champions that wasn't really the Tournament of Champions. And then the next night on the Monday, we had the real one. Well, he won the asterisk version.
That's it. It's been so long, I forgot, but I think I actually carved an asterisk into the back of it. Let's just see. It'll be hard to show it on the air. Oh, it's in there pretty tight. Okay, next week we'll see it. We'll see the asterisk next week. It is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna run from it. Still looks pretty good on the hat, though, John. Just saying. You gotta get there. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new world. I got a great question from Jamel Cuevas in here, asking, does anyone else have cash game goals? It's a good question. I've had a lot of success in the cash games. I don't think I have cash game goals necessarily. Anybody else? What would be a good cash game goal? Like just a multiplier of your buy-in, or like an annual amount that you've won.
Be profitable year in and year out, and put it up.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
No,
I don't play a whole lot of cash, but that sounds like a good plan to me.
You know, so
right.
Yeah. For me, I need to get back to playing. When I play cash, just remember it's just one long session. So
yes,
I am guilty of trying to make every time I sit down at a poker table a winning session. And in all reality, when you're playing cash, that's irrelevant. You should just always play the best you can play and play the most positive EV way you can play. And the money will take care of itself in the long run. If you're doing anything to make this session a winning session that makes it not optimal, then you're hurting yourself in the long run.
Yep, great point. And we got a good comment here from Asinine Bovine in the YouTube chat saying that they have goals for going up in stakes, so it's kind of tied to bankroll. That is a good goal to have your bankroll be sufficient for you to go up in stakes if that is what you want to do. But I don't think, don't feel like moving up in stakes is always the goal for cash players either. Like I play 1-2, 1-3, some 2-5, but I don't really see myself. I don't time my success as a cash player to rising up in the ranks and playing higher stakes necessarily. But I do think it is a good way to kind of measure your success is, are you building a bankroll over time? because ultimately it is a results-oriented business. And, you know, ultimately for me, I've got that one rule. If you're playing poker, you got to be either having fun or making money. I don't care which one of those two it is, but it's got to be one of the two. Ideally both, but it's got to be one of the two. If you're not making money or having fun, my friend, you can find a better use for your time. There's a lot of other ways you could spend your time in the world. Great hobbies exist out there that aren't poker. But there's nothing wrong with losing money and having a great time. That's what makes most hobbies hobbies. But that's my rule. You got to make money or have fun.
And if, like you said, if you're not doing at least one of those, I'm a big fan and advocate for taking breaks if you're able to do so.
Yeah.
Take breaks.
Yeah. And just
especially
another
if
reason.
You play tournaments.
I was just gonna say another reason to play cash over tournaments. I love tournaments. Don't get me wrong. And Rob Gardner, I didn't mean to say like tournaments will kill you and don't play them. It's terrible. No, tournaments are great. They're super fun. But if someone was asking me, like, you know, should I play tournaments or cash games as a career, I would definitely steer them towards cash games, just because the variance is so much lower, and you just you can choose when to stop playing. You can choose when to walk away from the table. So I think it's a good episode we got. Oh, there's a lot of fun stuff happening in the YouTube chat here. Another reference for Jim's basement. I would say come check out the basement. We do guided tours. Many folks leave alive. There's no reason. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't know where all this. No comment. No comment. No official comment at this time. I use it for storage. It's just a lot of storage down there. It's a lot of good, excellent use for storage. All right.
Oh, okay.
Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Do we have time? I don't think we have time for Stake Study Stack. That's too bad. That would have been a good one. We've got the RecPoker monthly planning meeting come after this one. Rob Gardner, you are running our RecPoker scoreboard. Why don't you give a little update and let our folks know how our premium members did recently in the RecPoker scoreboard?
Yeah. So, you know, me and Jim have been talking, and I quietly asked him in one of our meetings. I said, Jim, I have an ambitious goal for this community. I said, what do you think about 1 million in cashes in 2025? And he's like, it's ambitious, but I like it. And in January, we hit $77,318.09 in cashes from our premium members. That includes 77 final tables, 43 podiums, and 15 wins. Unfortunately, one of those is Taylor's, but yeah, we're kind of on a pace that makes $1 million realistic, which is really awesome for this community. So super excited to see. If you guys have not yet, if you're a premium member, head over to the Discord and check out the scoreboard channel. There's a link pinned in the Discord to the spreadsheet. It's really easy to enter your results, and then we get it tabulated. And if you're not a premium member, I don't know what you're doing, because it's an amazing community, super cheap. Get in there. It's a lot of fun to be a part of.
And I just think that is so cool, Rob. I'm so glad that you came to us with that idea. That's amazing. Just RecPoker premium members cashed for over $77,000 in the month of January. And, you know, when you first mentioned the million, I was like, this guy's crazy, but I like the way he thinks. But good Lord, like that, we're actually almost on track for that. So this is amazing. Very excited for that. And if you're, like I say, if you're a RecPoker premium member, please get into that scoreboard on the Discord and chart your wins. Every cash counts, and we're lucky to have so many fantastic members here as part of our wonderful premium membership. All right, well, gang, I know we're kind of wrapping things up here. Does anyone want to add anything at the end of the show?
I would.
LoriAnn? Yeah.
I know you said we weren't going to do Stake Study Stack, but I have to put in one thing in there who I wanted to stack, because I know he's in the audience.
Do it.
And I have to just put it out there. Scott Beckham. I want to stack him. And he knows why. Not that I hold a grudge or anything, but he knows why.
He knows. All right. Well said, LoriAnn. I'm glad we could get that in.
Thank you for letting me get that off my chest.
And I have sometimes I have the ability to predict the future, and I can just tell you right now, everyone else was going to stack Taylor, so we don't even have to go through that. We don't have to go through that exercise. Taylor was the guy getting stacked, I'm pretty sure. All right, why don't we give away a fantastic prize and wrap this baby up? Rob Gardner, several folks added the words food bank into the YouTube chat. Who is going to win an amazing prize? We've got the spinning wheel of fame and fortune. This is one of my favorite parts of the show. Oh, Eric, you're going to hate me, Rob. Eric Anderson said he's already a lifetime premium member, so he wants you to take his name out and spin it again. Let's see. Eric, so generous. I love this guy. All right, who's it going to be? Kim Kilroy, as if she needs to get any better at poker. All right, congratulations, Kim. Well, Kim, send your email to info@rec.poker. You've won a free month at pokercoaching.com. Oh, yeah, of course. And we've got some home game results to get through as well. John Somsky, why don't you tell us who won some recent home games, and then we're going to spank this baby on the butt and get on out of here.
All right. Well, on February 5th, we had our Player of the Year series, the No Limit Hold'em Championship Series. Stewie 13, Stuart Carriage, got his first No Limit Hold'em win, and he has taken over the Player of the Year points race as well. JD Cat 32, Jeff Catalano got his second nightly victory for the year. Chip and Flip Wreck, Luke O'Driscoll got his first nightly victory for the year. Rabman 50, Rob Washam got his second nightly victory for the year.
There he is.
Balin 214 got his or her first nightly victory for the year. E. Anderson 85, Eric Anderson got his first nightly victory for the year. Bone Crusher 14, Marshall Dusick got his third international victory for the year. Bloop 7 got his or her first international victory for the year. And not to be outdone, Stewie 13, Stuart Carriage, also won the LPP event for the first time this year. So he can contact info@rec.poker for his free month at Learn Pro Poker.
There we go. Glad to hear it. So, yeah, I'm so glad to be giving away a free month to Learn Pro Poker every Sunday for the winner of our home game club. And a big shout out to Ryan LaPlante and the group there for making that possible. All right. Well, I think I got to say, if we had a fantastic time at Running Aces for Rec Poker Weekend at Running Aces, they have the MSPT Tour, the Mid-States Poker Tour, is coming back to Running Aces in April. So check your calendars for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I want to thank our sponsor, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, Joe Coolis, Rob Washam, John Somsky, LoriAnn Persinger, and visible producer Rob Gardner, everyone in the YouTube chat, my mom, I love you. Thanks for joining in. And all you listeners at home, see you next week on the Rec Poker Podcast. Good night,
Bye, everybody. Peace.